All right, welcome back to another video on Dad's Srt-4 ACR. And as you can see, we're down here at the shop. I thought I was gonna have to paint everything kind of either in a makeshift booth, but we got a little extra time up here at the shop before we paint some other stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and at least get this hood primed. Because if you guys don't, just to keep it short and sweet, obviously, as you guys well know, sunlight and just letting clear coat breathe is what cures itself. So that's why usually a lot of times you see cars sitting out in the sun after they're freshly cleared to let it bake. One of the best things you can do though as well, that not only does that help the clear cure, but prior to painting, if you prime and really let that primer cure and shrink and dry, then all the shrinking is going to be done in the priming process. That way you can sand, and everything you're sanding out is going to stay out. Because a lot of times if you don't give it that proper time to cure, you'll go through, paint it, clear it, and if you just didn't see some scratches from a previous grit, a lot of times it can actually surface its way up to the clear coat and you'll see it. So I think what we're going to do is bury this thing in some high build primer and let this thing just sit and bake out in the sun for like a day or two. And then it'll literally be ready to wet sand, paint, and clear. And then we'll be moving on to the bumper cover, which it needs a little bit of body work. It's got a couple cracks at the bottom and then a couple little chips up top that need fixed. But other than that, shouldn't be too bad. But went ahead, got the bottom side all taped off because it's nice and original paint, got original decals, and we want this car to remain as factory as possible. So I've actually ran myself a line through where the hood rubber goes, and we're going to be burying this section here underneath the lip and primer because there was a little bit of rust starting, so we cleaned all that out. Dad got that all fixed up. So we'll go ahead and get this thing buried in primer. I'll let this lip flash, pick the hood up, flip it over, and then we will bury the top side of it. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get started on this. I gotta cover a couple things up here in the shop so we don't get any overspray on them, and we'll be ready to prime. All right, just did the final pass under the lip. As you can see, it's still wet, obviously. So not too bad. And obviously as this dry, you can kind of see the peel. This stuff kind of like semi-self levels. So we'll see what the finish looks like when it actually flashes / dries. And if it's a little too peely, we'll kind of lightly, sand over it. So when we paint it, it kind of matches the finish of the original hood, or original paint, I should say. But anyway, gonna let this flash off. I'm gonna flip the hood over and should be able to get some wax and grease out, or prep salt, and wipe the top down and be ready to prime the top. We'll get it buried in probably 3 or 4 heavy coats. Then like I said, we'll call that done, let it dry out in the sun, and then we'll probably move on to the bumper cover because the Fender's brand new, so it's essentially ready to paint and clear. So the bumper cover is going to require a little bit of love, so we'll get this thing primed and we'll go from there. All right, got her flipped over, so let's get this thing wiped down so we can get it primed. Okay, just popped my respirator off and it's a little foggy in here, so I'm gonna hurry up and make this quick so I can get out of here. Got 3 heavy coats on it, and as you can see, you can kind of see some wet patches. Those are some bad areas that I went back over. And once that this stuff will kind of swell up, so you can see some of the clear breakthrough there where we sanded. But this will kind of swell up and level out, and you'll still kind of be able to see that stuff. But with this high build, we should be able to block that right out. We may have to actually go step down to maybe 220 or 320 and dry block this thing and then wet sand it. But we'll see. We'll figure that out in the future. But for now, we need to let this thing dry overnight. And then tomorrow we'll grab this thing and take it out to Dad's place. Let that thing sit outside and get all baked and cured. So for now, got the thing sprayed. So we are ready to move on to the bumper cover. I'm not sure when we're going to get to it, but when we do, we'll film doing some work on it. All right, guys, here it is. And you can kind of see those layers. A lot of this stuff will block right out. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw some guide coat on it. And this thing should be ready to block. All right, it's been a little bit since the last update on Dad's Srt-4. I can't remember if I went over the bumper, but she's got a little bit of damage. As you can see, these little splits here, this little guy in the middle, and then this tab here. Got some panel bond ready. We're gonna mix this thing up, tape the front side so I don't get a lot of panel bond squeezed through on the front, because I will do a little bit of glaze work on the front afterwards. So we're gonna get this stuff spread and let it cure out, so that way we can, if there's any bleed through, we can sand it. If not, tomorrow we can prep everything and get the bumper and primer, and then we'll literally be ready to wet sand everything and get the thing in paint and clear and finally be assembling this car. So anyway, let's get this stuff spread on there and we'll show you guys the end result. Okay guys, you saw us spreading the panel bond, fix those cracks. Now we got the thing over here. I went ahead, did a little bit of body work on this outside, got her all dialed in, super smooth and flush from front to back. Finished that out in 180. You can still see some 80 scratches, but I'm going over the whole bumper in 240 grit right now to get some bite for the primer. Now obviously if you were just spraying color over this, for one, there are some people, that would, probably wet sand this thing, or even you can drop down to even dry 320. But even like wet 4 and spot prime that body work areas and feather them in. Being that that was kind of a major spot, and as well as the other little spots, and being that these cars are normally low, somebody scraped this thing a few times. So I'm gonna sand all that stuff smooth, and that's why it's good. We're just gonna prime the whole thing. And then Dad's gonna do what he did on the hood. Hood's ready for wet sand, paint, and clear. And then once we prime this thing up, it'll be ready to wet sand, paint, and clear as well. So what we'll probably do is he's probably gonna set it out in primer in the sun, let that primer really bake in and shrink up. Then we'll sand it. And hopefully at the end of this video, we'll be ready to start painting and clearing. So that'll be pretty nice. So hopefully this whole video will kind of be the body and paint stuff. So I don't know how long it'll be. And then obviously the video after this, hopefully we'll be doing a lot of the last bit of the mechanical work and bolting all this fresh paint stuff back on. So anyway, we're gonna sand this thing and get ready to prime it. All right, we got her all scuffed up. Just need a good bite. That way the primer can stick to it. So we got all the little nooks, crannies, fog light bezels, side markers, nostril areas. Took the front badge off, but left the base. So I went ahead and just taped off the base of it. So that way we can just prime over it, not have to worry about destroying that base for the emblem, getting it out. So ready to shoot this thing in primer. So really don't want my phone getting a bunch of overspray on it since obviously we don't have a fan out in the middle of the shop. So let's go ahead and shoot this thing in primer, use a little bit of that YouTube magic, and we'll go ahead and make this thing in primer. And here we go. And there it is. Probably sound funny because I got my mask on. It's flashing off. You can see it's still a little glossy because it's still fresh. But there we go. Bodywork area looks nice. I went pretty heavy on some areas. So there were a couple things I didn't see, like this little pinhole right there, but that should sand out. If not, a little bit of glaze, spot prime, we're good to go. Other than that, it looks good. Even filled in all the scratches from where it was scraped. So that looks pretty good. Overall, I'm pretty happy. So we'll let this thing cure out and have Dad sand it. And we will be ready for paint and clear finally. So the hood's ready to be wet sanded. Like I said, these couple little areas that were heavy, we'll need a little bit of work with like 320 maybe. But regardless, it's pretty much ready to wet sand. So at this point, wet sand, paint, clear. So hopefully in this next clip, you'll see everything sanded out, and we'll be prepping for color and clear. So anyway, yeah, let's move on and hopefully pick up here in the next couple weeks with this when Dad gets the sanding all squared away, and yeah, be ready for the good stuff. All right, checking back in. Dad got everything put together while I was getting the bumper cover all primed, which you guys have already seen. And we got that stuff guide coated and just brought him stuff out to get it wet sanded. So he's over here getting coolant ready. And as you can tell, the new intercooler is on, condenser, radiator, and look how even this gap is all the way across. Can't beat that. Can't even tell it was wrecked. So he got the charge pipe all cleaned up, throttle body. Got these fans cleaned up that we got. Where were the fans from? Were they from the Detroit where we got the doors? And then the radiators from a guy here locally that parts cars out. And this was actually in a running, driving car. And he said the car ran great, held temperature, didn't overheat, nothing like that. So yeah, had the battery on the charge. He's been slowly cleaning stuff up in the engine bay. So this thing's getting close. We're gonna fill this thing up and then we're gonna fire it up and let this thing come up to operating temp. You're spilling out a little bit there. And so we'll set the camera up hopefully and take you guys along for the ride.
I hear the fuel pump. Yeah, that's big gas there. Yeah. Gotta take it down, man. That took it down a little bit.
Okay, we're gonna throw some fresh gas in this, guys, and we'll start back up. Okay, got some fresh gas in it, so let's fire this thing back up. How the belts look. I mean, obviously they sounds good, so. All right, we're gonna continue to check this thing out, let it come up to operating temp, then we'll check back with you guys. Okay, checking back in, back down at the shop, and we got the new fender, which I think I showed in another video, but as you can tell, I got it all opened up and ready for paint and clear coat. So, hasn't been waxed and greased yet. That's what I'm about to do right now. So we're gonna run some preps all over this thing, get it cleaned up, prepped and ready. And I got a brand new spray gun and cup set up, and I've really been anxious to try it out. So I'm gonna spend a little time getting that set up. I'll go over that thing with you guys here shortly. I'm gonna finish getting this thing prepped, so that way once I get the gun ready, it's ready to go. So anyway, gonna spend a little time prepping and going over the new gun, and then we will be ready to paint and clear. Okay. Haven't even opened the cup kit. So this is a really similar version to 3M's cup system that we use now, which 3M stuff's really good. It's just expensive. They don't allow you to buy just liners. You got to buy whole kit. And anyway, these kits are a lot cheaper, and I do believe you get a lot more. So I'll show you guys what we're working with here. Here's the lock for the lid. Here's your main cup itself, which hole in the bottom. Obviously don't pour stuff right into that. Gotta have your liners. Stack of liners. Another stack of liners. And all the lids to go along with that stuff. So I think for all this stuff, it was like 90 bucks, something like that. And then I got about, I think the gun was like 115. So we'll pop this thing open, let you guys check it out. I got a buddy, or I guess Graydon that works with us has a buddy that has been spraying with this gun, and he saw some of the work he did in person, and it laid down super nice. He said he's very happy with the gun, and you know, for the price and how it works. So here it is. So I'm gonna get this thing all out, unboxed, and I'm gonna get this thing set up to use, and we should be good to go from there. All right, we got this unit all set up. Got our cup adapter on there. Got our pressure regulator, filter, or water air separator. Looks like she's good to go. And then got my cup deal over here on the mixing table. Very, very similar to how 3M's works. Pretty simplistic, I like it so far. At least I just tried it out once. We'll see how it does actually painting and stuff. So we already got this thing all prepped and ready to go. So we should be ready to go ahead, mix up our paint and get this puppy adjusted and try it out. All right, checking back in. Probably shouldn't be over here without my mask, but I wanted to hurry up and do a quick video. I was gonna set my phone up for the rest of the process, but I didn't want it getting a bunch of overspray on it since I'm spraying it out here in the open without a fan. But anyway, so this gun did absolutely incredible. Very, very good. It's a great bang for your buck. On the second coat of clear, I actually had this thing land like slick as glass, which for a factory car is probably a little too slick. So on the last coat, I kind of sped up my pattern in a sense, so that actually created just a little bit of peel, which is perfect because worst case scenario, this thing's got 3 good coats on it. We could actually cut and buff the thing to slick it out if we decide to do a light cut and buff on the rest of the car. But got a couple pieces of big dirt in it, which I can spot, sand, and buff. You can see little one there, big one there, and then there's one more right there. But pretty stoked. It's a little hazy in here, so kind of hard to see it for sure. But I've got a couple little small pieces of dirt in it, but not bad for spraying it out here in the open. But anyway, I'll do a quick little video in the morning when all this dust has settled and this has had time to cure. And one piece down, 2 more to go. All right, checking back in. Been a while since the last clip, which was getting the bumper all primed, fender painted, all that good stuff. So now, since the bumper and hood were primed, Dad got those all wet sanded for me. And here we go, which if you guys remember, we resprayed this portion. So starting off, I'm going to plastic this up like we did last time and blend this base coat in here. And then that's all that gets, because if you can tell, this is more of a satin finish because the factory didn't clear it. So we'll base this, and once it flashes, we will flip the hood over and we will be ready to prep the top, you know, wax and grease it, all that good stuff. As far as this goes, it's ready. I am just gonna prep it as well, make sure it's clean and ready to go. Got to tape off where the badge goes. And then we should be ready to rock on this. So first stuff you'll see, I'm not sure if I'll film myself masking this off, probably not, because that's boring. So first thing you'll probably see is getting this dusted right here. And then I'll probably go ahead and start basing on this. And then once this flashes, like I said, I'll grab it, flip it over. We'll get the top prepped while that's flashing. And then probably do like the final coat on that and then be able to focus on the hood. So there we go. And then by the end of this portion here, you'll see these things painted and clear coated. And then once they flash off, I'll film maybe getting the hood on it. And I'd like to have this thing all at least, you know, assembled and going on the car and be able to see the car as a complete unit to end the video off on this thing. But we'll see. Maybe we'll end it off with primering and clearing this stuff and then do a video on putting the car together. Not sure yet, but obviously you guys will know as you get on with the video. So anyway, I'm gonna get to prepping this thing and check back in when we are ready to spray. Okay, got everything prepped. So I think I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit, set my phone up and let you guys see some time lapse of spraying this thing. I may put the first coat of clear in because that's usually where it gets pretty thick. So got this thing all prepped, scuffed up and prep-soled. And same with the bumper, just had to make sure to go over a couple areas. So I think we're good to go. Everything's scuffed and prepped. Set you guys up real quick. Already got the paint mixed up and ready to rock. So I'm gonna get my mask on, set you guys up, and start getting the first coat of base on this stuff. All right, guys, got our base done. I'll take my mask off here. Okay, this is some really cheap black paint and it sprays like complete and utter butt. As you can see, it looks really splotchy. The clear coat will bleed that in, but it doesn't give it a good base underneath per se. This one's flashing off a little bit more. As you can see, it's drying up. So probably about another 15 minutes, we'll start on clear coat, and I might set you up for that. I'm not sure yet. We'll let this stuff flash off where it's not so splotchy and kind of levels out a little bit, but not a fan of this paint, lays down like crap. Kind of expected that, it's done it in the past, so it is what it is. Anyway, we'll get prepped for clear coat here and get these things finished up. All right, as you can tell, it's super foggy. Got to have my mask on. It's thick. Had some issues with the clear. Wanted to fisheye on me, and there's an old trick I'd kind of heard of. If it fisheyes on you, you can almost kind of let it really tack off
bury it again. And if they want to come back on you, let it tack again and bury it for, obviously 3 or 4 times. But anyway, I buried it and come out pretty damn good. So I can't complain, especially for a stock style car. But it's pretty foggy, so it looks really milky. But yeah, everything come out pretty good. So pretty hyped. I dripped some clear down here, and there's a little dirt right there. But overall, pretty decent. So there we go.
Next day, and remember me talking about having some weird fish eyes happen, even though I've prepped and did everything that I normally do and never have that happen, waxed and greased everything. The only difference is I used a different paint and clear than I normally use, and it's the cheaper end stuff. And I'm a firm believer in you get what you pay for, and I usually never go the cheap route, and you get what you pay for. Luckily, I buried it both of them pretty heavily in clear. So this stuff I do believe I can cut and buff out. So, so when we decide to paint correct the car, which it definitely needs on the body, we can go through and get a lot of this stuff out. So, but overall, I'm not too upset with it. There you can see some of it right there. I got it to go away last night, and then there they came back, but they're pretty, it looks worse in the video than they are in person. I should be able to get them out pretty easily. And then I got a little bit through there, and then a little bit through right there. And I don't know why it did it. I've used this paint one time before, and it did some funky stuff, and I'm not a fan of it, but I thought, well, being that we actually primed this stuff and prepped it right, it should be fine. Nope. I'm not saying I'm the best around. I've done a lot of painting and never had fisheye issues. Usually the only time you have fisheye issues is incorrect preparation, or single stage is really bad about fisheyeing. But the bumper ended up turning out good. Got a little bit right up in here, and then the big spot where I dropped some clear dropped out of the gun. But overall, bumper turned out pretty slick, so I'm happy. There you can see a little bit, 2 little dirt specks there, and then the fish-eyeing right over in here with that drop. But yeah, hood came out pretty slick too. It's got a little bit of dirt in it, like there's a speck of dirt, and then there's a little bit of dirt over in here somewhere. But anyway, enough rambling. Should be stuff I can get out. Luckily, those fish eyes, I buried it heavy enough. They didn't a lot of times they can be a big concave hole and go all the way down to the base, and you're kind of just SOL. But luckily, I buried it heavy enough that we should be able to cut and buff this stuff out. So anyway, that's where we're at. Gonna let this stuff cure. I'm not sure when we'll pick it up. We may take it out today. I don't know. Definitely need some more cure time before we're getting crazy on handling it. But anyway, that's where we're at. So hopefully the next clip, you guys will see us bolting this stuff on, or at least getting the hood bolted on. And then Dad's going to probably put all the fog lights, lamps, and grills and all that kind of stuff in the bumper cover. So we're getting close. Okay, we went ahead and dropped everything off here at the garage. So Dad's let the bumper cover sit outside and get cured up. So another couple days and we should be ready to start popping everything on it and get it installed. And then I just came out and he already had the fender on that we sprayed in the previous portion of this video. And we went ahead and just got the hood popped on it. That way it's not laying on the ground and potentially getting damaged or stepped on. So this is kind of where we're at. We got the fender aligned, and as you can tell, the reflection and peel matches almost perfect. Same with the hood. So this fender is still loose, so we're getting this gap where we want it. It's super close, and it's really close over here. We may loosen this fender up just a hair and tweak in the front just a little bit, but pretty weird seeing this thing with a nice front end on it. And Dad went ahead and got the crash bar on it. He got the new cowl piece we got from a used car all cleaned up and installed. So there it is. So we're gonna fire this thing up, back it out, move it around so we can see the front end a little bit easier, just because it's so dark in here, because obviously there's no power yet. So yeah, we'll check back in a minute once we tweak on this stuff some more. And then hopefully once we get this bumper cover all put together later this week, we can see this car all finalized and finally be able to finish up this video. But anyway, we'll check back in a minute. All right, guys, we're back out here. And Dad spent some time getting the bumper cover all put together. As you can see, got new fogs in it. Got the lower dam put back in it. Got the mesh put back in it. The nostrils, cleaned those up, got them back in. Side marker lights, and then he ended up picking up some cheap new headlights until we can find a nice original set. But they are just the reproduction of the originals. Not as good quality, but they'll do for now. We did have to elongate the holes on this latch a little bit just to bring it up. Just because even though we got it, you know, straightened back out, it's still not perfect just because that got sandwiched down a little bit. So we brought that back up. Hood's latching nice and even on the fenders now. So we'll go ahead and get this bumper cover thrown on and hopefully see this thing as a complete car. I don't think we knew they were broken. Isn't that a crazy difference? So we'll have to do some, I'll throw some before videos in and some of the afters just so we can remember what this thing used to look like, but it turned out pretty good. Yeah, we found out our windshield squirters are both broke, so we'll have to get new of those.
And the wipers aren't on.
Yep, the wipers aren't on yet, but so it just needs washed real good and should paint should blend together pretty nice.
Then we can move on to that project.
Yep.
Or that project.
Or that one, or back onto this one, but we got some got our lifts to put up still and get some power ran, and then at least this one's done, or almost done. And then we did find out this strut on this side is blown out. The actual rod itself is rubbing up against the top hat, and it's actually rubbed it through quite a bit. And luckily I have an original ACR 5-way adjustable rear strut off of my car. So I'll let him use this, and then we're gonna see if we can get one of those rebuilt. I think they're 5-way. They're either 3-way or 5-way, I can't remember. I think 5-way. Yep.
And those aren't available anymore.
Yeah, and those aren't available anymore. Those are discontinued. So there we go, guys. So all that hard work paid off. Almost can't even tell it was ever wrecked. And there you have it. That's going to wind down this series. And like we said, there's just a couple little tidbit things we got to do, like put the wipers on, put those washer squirters on. The air box needs to go in it. But those are just some minor things. And it needs washed and detailed. So I'll maybe do another video when he gets it, all those little items put on and cleaned up and everything. So he'll go through and detail the car out real nice. But I think that'll probably do it for this video. So I'm pretty happy I was able to work all this into one video. It took forever with all the other projects and all the traveling we were doing. But anyway, there we go. So we'll catch you guys in the next video. Probably be more Trans Am stuff. I've been making some progress on it. So, and then we'll be hopefully starting on putting the lifts in, and or at least the 2-post, and getting some wiring done. But look forward to that in the near future here. But I think that's going to do it for this one. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next video.